guys, Tom back again with another video here. Using my Sledge in this video, but this information isn't really exclusive to the Sledge. I just noticed a little bit of an issue with this, so I'm going to be using this for a demonstration and because I need to correct this anyway. But this is really more of just a tip how to get like the best performance out of kind of any RC. And what we're talking about is wheel balance, and you can see right here that this wheel is not balanced. And I'm going to put in a video now to show you exactly what this looks like before, and then I'll do an after at the end, and we'll do kind of a comparison. Show you guys how we can do this very easily with you're just going to need to get one thing, and the rest of it you can kind of do with basic tools, and you can do it right on the vehicle here. Okay, so you saw from that video I inserted of the truck just running on the bench here, you could see how kind of wobbly everything was and how you start getting a shake from pretty much every wheel. And I noticed this when I first ran the truck, when I first put a battery in and kind of did the same thing just to calibrate the throttles. I did notice a lot of shaking, so I could tell that these were out of balance. Not a huge issue, especially on a basher. You know, if you were racing this, especially if it were like, you know, on the road, you really want to have, if you had like street tires, you'd really want to have like perfectly balanced wheels there. But big monster truck wheels like this on a basher, do you really need them to be perfectly balanced? Probably not, but to me, it's just going to work much better, and you get a lot less wear and tear on your bearings and your suspension, because the more everything is kind of shaking around, the more movement you get through your whole chassis here. You know, when you add in the factor of some dust and some grime on your hinge pins and everything else, the more everything kind of just shakes around and moves around, it's just going to kind of wear out faster. And it kind of leads to like sloppiness throughout the whole truck. And the smoother everything kind of rotates, the better. You know, you're going to be using, having a little less friction in your bearings and drivetrain, and everything's just going to work a little bit better. So super easy to do. Why not do it? Why not have a properly balanced wheel, especially with the weight of these? It does have a big effect, a gyroscopic effect on the whole vehicle. So the better these are balanced, the better everything is going to perform. So show you real quick way to do this. What you're going to need is some type of clay. Now this is just, this is actually clay that you would use for claying your car if you were detailing your car. So you can get this at any auto parts store. I forget if this was like Mother's brand or McGuire's or something, but it's kind of a real like sticky clay, and that's what you want. I don't think like anything like Play-Doh, it might work, but you want something that's not going to really dry out over time either. You want something that's like, this has been sitting out in the open for, I don't even know, like 2 years, and it's still pretty moist and sticky. And you want that because you're going to be applying this to the inside of your wheel here, just to add a tiny little bit of weight opposite the heavy part of the wheel, just to balance it out. So you want something that's going to kind of stick in there good and not dry out and just get crusty and fall off at some point. Not a big deal if it does, but then you're going to have to redo this. So now you can go out and buy like an RC wheel balancer, but a super easy, cheap way to do it is to just do it on the vehicle. And what you need to do to accomplish that is just remove the dog bone in the back. So if you pull out your camber link here, tilt the hub toward you, pull out the dog bone, now you have a free spinning hub, right? Take your wheel, pop it on there, and you do kind of want to seat it on the hex just so it goes on far enough, and it's a little tricky because the whole hub is going to spin, so reach behind it, put your finger on the drive cup and just hold it in place, and then rotate the wheel until it pops onto the hex. And then you could see, now, one thing I will say, you might want to run the car a few times before you do this, because if the bearings are brand new, they're probably going to be pretty packed with grease, and they might not really spin too freely. And to get a good balance, you really need to have what you see right here. Make sure that when you just let go of the tire there, it kind of just finds, and this could even be a little bit smoother. This isn't like the ultimate, most precise way to balance a wheel, but I think for something like this, like a truggy with big off-road kind of monster wheels, you'll get close enough with this and it's going to be fine. So, but again, make sure your bearings are spinning free enough. If they don't and your truck's brand new, they might be a little stiff so far. So go out and run it, run, 5-6 packs through it, come back and then do this again. Another thing I'll say, you want to start out with clean wheels. You don't want to have any clumps of dirt. They don't have to be spotless, but especially in the back here, you don't want any dirt build up in there. That's going to throw the balance off to begin with. Another thing I'll say, if you didn't already seal the inside vents on your wheels, go ahead and do that and then vent your tire itself. I just think it's a better way to do it. And anything that gets in there, if you do run through water or you get water in there from cleaning the truck, it's going to work its way out through the holes in the wheels and it's not going to sit inside your tire. So when you go and run this, anything that gets into the wheels, tiny little bit of dirt or moisture is going to fling itself out. Whereas if you have holes in your wheels, it's centrifugal forces pushing it into the tire. So I do this with all my RCs and I think it works better. So I would recommend doing that. And again, give them a decent clean. You don't want anything that's going to throw the balance off. And slap it back on your hub there. What you do is just let it find its, let me try to get this camera in a little bit closer here. Just let it kind of find its bottom here. Let the heavy side go to the bottom. And then, kind of just go back and forth a little bit and find like right there, that'd be like middle of the road. And you could even just tell by the marking on the tires, like, so right here, this would be the heavy side of the tire, right by the kind of the 3.3 there. So then what you do is just take a little bit of clay, and this is going to be like trial and error. You don't really know how far off balance it is. So eventually you're going to want to put the clay way back into the recess here behind the front edge of the rim, so it kind of keeps it out of the way and it doesn't fling out. But for now, what you can do, I have my finger on the mark here on the heavy point, just go directly across, straight across, and just kind of put the clay, just stick it to the surface of the rim there, right? And that's what I mean, you want something that's fairly sticky, right? And then you're gonna put it back on and you're gonna see if you have the right amount of weight added, right? So you can do the same thing. We know like the 3.3 here was the heavy point. So we're just gonna kind of put that at the 6 o'clock position. And sure enough, that's still the heaviest point. So I'm gonna take a tiny bit more clay, and if you're careful, you can kind of reach around the back here and just add it on top of the other existing piece. And you're gonna go through, and so see, you don't want to put the nut on. It's not really important. Then you're gonna have to take it off every single time you do this, and it's not gonna really matter. So you can keep just adding bit by bit until you get to the point where you achieve some balance. And you might find that you find a heavy spot and you put another piece over there, and then you might find that somewhere else there's a little heavy spot. So you might have to do like 2 spots, but typically I think like 1 spot kind of works, and you'll see that it kind of just, so the idea is, I may have to add a tiny bit more there. The idea is you should be able to kind of position this tire in any position here, and it should kind of stay where it's at. You don't want it like finding its low point there. So that's pretty much it, guys. And then what happens is, once you have this big lump of clay here, you would then take this off from here, and I like to kind of stick it back in there. If it lines up between these two, that's fine. You can stick it in there between the spokes. But if not, you want to keep this in kind of the exact position and just kind of tuck it in to that recess back there so it's out of the way. And when you do go and clean mud and muck from the inside, you're not going to be constantly scraping this off. So anyway, that's it, guys. I'm going to do this off camera. I'm going to do all 4 wheels. I'm going to slap them back on there, and I'm going to run this again. And hopefully it is obvious from the video that it'll be much smoother. So yeah, let me do that, and then we'll go from there. I'll show you real quick how this ended up here. So right, I just tucked it back in there, made it nice and smooth. So I'll show you real quick here. If I pop this back on, what you can do, it's gonna kind of move a little bit and then stay stationary. So any point you want to just have like minimal movement. And again, it's not going to be absolutely perfect, and you can go as deep as you want with this. You can really sit there and try to get this thing as perfectly balanced as you can. But for me, I feel like this is good enough. And then you could even take this before you put it back on just to make sure. You can give it a decent spin and you'll be able to feel any little bit of kind of oscillation going through there. So before you even put it back on and run it, you can kind of really check that and kind of feel it by hand and see if you're happy with it or not. I may go a little bit further with this one, and then I'll bolt them all back on and give you guys a peek on how it looks. So yeah, another, when you spin this, I don't know if it's gonna come up on camera, but you could kind of even hear that it's more of a consistent sound. You can hear a little bit of like, I don't know if it's just like tiny little bit of bearing noise, but you could hear before it was like whoa, 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 whoa. And then it becomes a more consistent sound when it's balanced properly. So that's a good indication. And again, just holding the arm, you can feel the slightest little bit of vibration. And again, it's up to you how crazy you want to go with this, but I think just, you know, at least getting it as close as you can initially is going to be fine. Okay, and here's the final result. I got everything balanced up, and I'll show you guys real quick. Everything is real quick. I gotta stop saying real quick because nothing is really real quick in my videos. I end up talking for like 15 minutes. But I just want to show you. So on average, this is about the size of the chunk of clay I had to install like on each wheel, and I weighed it, and it's about like 5 to 6 grams per wheel, and they all seem to be pretty much identical, like within that exact range. So something just the way they mold these, they're definitely consistent. So you just got to find the right spot, and the more easily your bearings can spin, the more consistent and the more accurate this is going to be. So even if you find yourself like the bearings don't spin all that freely, you might want to hit them with some type of lubricant, a little bit of oil, you know, get in there and just put a dab of oil right around the seal, and it will kind of work its way in there. But like I said, you want to do this after you run the car for a while so those bearings are nice and free. But let me show you guys the result here, and hopefully it picks it up on camera because I can definitely tell how much smoother this is. So let me spin the camera around here and show you guys. Here we go. There you have it. I think it's super noticeable. You can tell even by the sound. I could tell that my premium plastic folding table here is not shaking as much as it was initially. It's not a huge amount. I said like this, 5 grams per tire, but apparently it adds up to quite a bit when it's actually rotating, you know. So yeah, I think it made a noticeable improvement. We'll see how it does out in the real world. And whoa, TSM is alive and well here. So considering changing out this servo, I don't really know yet. It's a little bit weak when you're driving it. I got some floating around, I might change it out, but I don't know. So maybe the next project. But for now, I think this is a pretty simple thing for you guys to do. Go out and get yourself some clay. Like I said, hit the auto parts store and get a clay bar. Maybe clay your car first and get some dual purpose out of your clay. And then when it's dirty and you're through with it, use it to balance wheels. That's it, guys. Anything else I can think of? Maybe I'll make some videos, but I'm planning to get out with this thing this weekend. Hopefully take it for a good rip and have some fun with it. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.